Our next issue to tackle is how do we attach course list on student? Remember, what we did so far is to allocate data for the attribute student number, name, program. We haven't done yet the course list. So on a real setup, a student enrolls courses. So it's not just one course, but it is courses. On our example, if you check student John, he enrolls 3 courses, and these 3 courses must be bundled on a course list. So let us check again our sequence diagram. We currently stuck on here. We're done creating the student object. Our next task is to create course TA. In turn, course TA will create course object and put all the data on it. Later on, course object will have a method getCourseList, so we could attach it on student object. That is why here, after getting the course list, we're going to set the course list on the student object. The logic is almost the same in creating course DA. In retrieving the file, we're going to set a raw course variable to read the entire line of the schedule and store it on raw course, and split its data on an array string, which is called the raw course specific. Let us proceed. So we go back on student TA. Before we add the entire list, we create course TA. So course TA is not yet created. We hover our mouse, create course DA. Still stored on technical services package. Click finish. We create our constructor. Hover our mouse, click schedule info, right click schedule info, properties, copy the path, close it, Control V. Since our scheduled info is not limited to one line, we need to read the entire file and process it. Okay, we pause for a while and look again our problem. If we're going to attach all these courses, this will become courses of John. So we need to validate only those courses that is applicable to John. Good thing we have on the first element stands for student number, and this would be our test that this would be our guide in creating our course list that pertains to John only. But how do we do that? We may go back to student DA and put a parameter inside course DA. Here we use the student number of the student. Oh, I forgot to trim the student number here. So let us trim all the student number, all the data for the attributes string. Here we get the student number. So there is an error now because on our constructor, it should have a student number. If we go back on our course DA, we need to specify the parameters on our constructor. So here we say student number. Here we create a condition that will only get all the courses that pertains to a particular student number. Raw course specific index 0 represents the student number. So if the student number is the same with the student number being passed, that's the time we create the course. So we transfer this one here and put the data on the course. If we check setting of values on set units, we have an error. Why? If you go back on course object, you would see that unit is an integer and not string. What we are reading here is a string, and there would be some conflict because you're trying to put a string into a data type integer. So we need to convert this first into a integer value before we could set it on unit. It seems we have completed adding one course to a specific student. But a student is not limited to one course alone. So we need to create a course list. So this would be an instance variable for course TA. And we instantiate the course list here. With that, if this would be a valid, that's the time we add it on the course list. Since we have already data inside course DA, that's the time that we attach the course list to student object. So you may wonder, why do we have an error on course DA get course list? If you go back, there is no method get course list here. So we need to create one. So underneath the constructor of course DA, we create the method get course list. Here we return course list. So the error is no longer there. By the way, after using a scanner file, you need to close this object. So after the while loop, we close the course info object. Same way on student DA. Same way on block section DA. Now it seems everything is in place. We need to produce this output. To do that, we need to place this information inside our toString method under course object. Okay, we remove this guide. Turn the course output. Since course is being held by student object, here we put the course list. So for every course coming from the course list, we add course. But before that, we need to add its header. Seems okay. We go back on our COM report, save everything. Let us run the program. Okay, we make some few adjustments. Let's go back on block section DA. And we put this one underneath. Go back on COM report. Run the program. So we achieved our result.